Hello everybody, I'm Richard Gon of Work to Live podcast version, and this time what I'm going to talk about is, as the title shows, so the number of the patients is no longer important, about which I'd like to talk about stuff or stories, and and as you can hear, I'm recording this episode while taking care of my children, which is why please forgive their sounds or voices they create. And first of all, in the case of my country, days before the number of the patients have exceeded not the days before the number of the patients exceeded 10,000, and Japanese people are worried about the number of the patients. But as you expect, so what is the reaction to that news or to that report? Because as you maybe most of you know, Omicron virus is not that severe, and according to many investigations, or according to many news you have watched or you have heard or you have listened, Omicron Omicron strain doesn't bring people severe illness, which is what people have already understood, which means from this fact we can say that it's possible to say that Omic- the number of the patients is no longer important, which is possible to say. So with this example, what I'd like you to know is that you should distinguish what you should be worried about and what you should not be worried about, because people can easily worried about, or better said, it's easy just to worry about things, because if you have a lot of free time, for example, human beings can create some worries because they have a lot of free times, which is why some people tend to create some worries, and then the inverse, and asking them the inverse about the inverse of worries, nothing, or some people say that there are some worries, and they are worried about something obscure, stuff like that. So what I'd like you to know is that you have a potential, or you have abilities to create worries. You can be worried about anything around you. So for example, if you if you incur some disaster, for example, earthquake or flood, anything is fine. Anything you can imagine is fine. Or wildfire. Also wildfire is fine. But if you incur such disasters, I think you are going to be worried about those disasters. But if you do not experience such disasters, maybe you may have some worries about, for example, about your futures or your livelihoods, or the works you have to do next day, or what works you have to do tomorrow. And anyway, or the days after the works that you have to do days after. Like which, people have many things to worry about. But in this case, in the case of the pandemic of coronavirus caused by Omicron strain, what matters, or what is important is that it's not the number of the patients of coronavirus, but what matters in the case of Omicron strain is when the pandemic of Omicron strain is going to end. What matters is when the pandemic of Omicron strain is going to end. Because as you know, what you have already understood is what I'm going to tell you. What you have already understood is Omicron strain is weak. Omicron strain is weak, which is what you have already understood. And maybe you may be listening to this episode months before, or months after, or years after the recording of this episode. So I'm when I'm when I'm this episode, when I'm recording this episode, they, it was days before that the patient of the patient of coronavirus, the number of the patient of coronavirus exceeded 10,000 in Japan. Like which, but what matters is that whether Omicron strain brings you a severe illness or severe symptoms or severe problems or not. Which is why, if you catch Omicron strain, and if you become a patient of coronavirus of Omicron strain, you are fine. In most cases, you can survive without any problems. So if you get Omicron strain, you can survive without any problems. I told you again because you may be worried about if you are a patient of coronavirus for now. Like which, what I'd like you to know is that if you encounter some bad situation or if you get some problems, what you should do at first is which one you should be worried about or which one you should not be worried about. If you encounter some event you don't know anything about, you may grow worried about that thing. For example, in the case just after the beginning of the pandemic of coronavirus, people are really worried about the people had been really worried about coronavirus, but it's that the virus turned out not to be that severe because although many people passed away in Italy, although many people passed away in Italy, and the Delta strain was said to be really severe, but in the case of Omicron, in the case of the discovery of Omicron strain, what at first people were worried about because the infectivity of Omicron strain was really high, but I think that Omicron, not Omicron, coronavirus is going to adapt into the bodily condition of human beings, which is what I understand, or which is what I predict. But apart from my prediction, or apart from my guesswork, what matters, what people have already, or what you have already understood is that Omicron strain doesn't give you severe symptoms, which if you get some problems, you as I told you minutes before, you should be worried about, you should distinguish, and you should understand, you should investigate which part or which element you should be worried about, or which element or which part you should tackle, and which one is, or which part or which element is not that important. That such a investigation or such a guesswork or such kind of thinking is what you need to do when facing problems or events, bad events, for example, which is what I'd like you to know this time. And I'm sorry, please forgive the voices and noises my children created. So that's it. Thank you very much for your listening. See you.